Hi, my name is Angie. They call me Mama Badger. My husband and I own Badger's Business Solutions. We're your credit card processing gurus. We've been in the business for 15 years now. We consider ourselves brokers, meaning we work for you, the business, not for the processing company. We're going to find the best processing company out there for you with the equipment that fits your business needs. There are three different ways of taking cards. One of them is you're going to pay what's called interchange plus cost, basically pay whatever the swipe rate is on the card. The second way is to do a flat rate fee. And then the third way is something that's been around for a couple of years now in the industry, something that we actually have not pushed and really were never behind until now. Things have changed with the coronavirus and the way people are doing business, and the amount of cards that are being swiped has doubled, tripled. We're seeing it. So we looked for a program that made sense for a business that's not going to get them in trouble when it comes to state law, when it comes to the cards. Visa, MasterCard, Discover, etc. And so I put together a little video here. I'm going to go through and just kind of give you clips of this program called The Edge. So let's get started.
And before I know everybody has an opinion about this, that's fine. I'm just going to talk about Edge. I want you to understand what Edge is not. It is not surcharging. Okay, we're not registering with card brands. It is not cash discounting according to the industry definition, which is some of the signs you see up there. We are not adding a fee to all transactions and then removing that fee when cash is used and then calling it a cash discount. Edge is not that program, okay? It is not cash discount in the true definition, meaning I walk up and this mug, patience, is $10 on the shelf, meaning I pay less than that if I pull out cash out of my pocket. It's not that. Edge can support that, but it's not that. We do not support those programs per se, okay? We don't. That's not what our compliance and legal teams are in the act of doing, because guess what? And you'll hear from me in a minute, the card brands don't support it. I don't really care what you have to say about it. I've sat in the panel or in the rooms with the panels. If you want to surcharge, yes, register, do it that way, follow the rules. Great. If you don't, I don't even want to play in the legalese field. I really don't. Okay, so that's why we have to move away from, quote, cash discount as a term, as terminology. And yes, you will still see it throughout some of our products as we're working on cleaning this up in a more holistic picture. But understand that Edge is not cash discount. Cash discount, oh, it's just like the gas stations. No, it's not. The gas station is not adding a fee and removing the fee, right? The gas stations run a dual price model. That is exactly how the entire Edge program has been built. All items have two prices. And you're going to hear a couple things being repeated. Edge is built to support merchants in all 50 states. And we most importantly encourage them to follow the commerce and pricing laws in their states. I personally believe that's where this is eventually going to end up. This isn't a card brand thing. This is a state pricing thing. It's also designed to support true cash discount in that manner, because you can have two prices. It comes down to what the merchant wants to display on their shelf, and if they want to reduce that if cash is used, or if, depending on their state, if they want to display the cash price and then the other price is tabulated when you hit the credit card tender or a different other payment tender on a system. But most importantly, they must follow their pricing guideline rules according to their state. An example of this is New York. Back in 2018, they finally said, fine, you can surcharge, but if you're going to run any kind of program like that, you must display both prices on the item or on the shelf. Oh, people went nuts. Hey, that's not fair. I can't actually register them surcharge because surcharge is adding a fee, even if I follow the card brand rules. Guess what? The state didn't give two hoots about what the card brand rules were. They wanted to create clarity and a good experience for the customer, for the state people that live there and shop there and work there. They said, I don't care what the card brands say. This is what we want. And I'm sorry, if you register a merchant in New York to surcharge and they don't change all of their pricing, they're not breaking card brand rules, they're breaking state rules. That's exactly why Edge was built the way that it is, because more states will go that way, right? Edge is positioned as a 4% price increase that's been applied to all items. This price will be discounted when cash is used. Again, all items have 2 prices. Sales, here's the other big kicker. Surcharge and industry cash discount do not count what they collect as sales and revenue and therefore pay sales tax on it. By doing that, you automatically, by us doing that, you automatically take us out of the surcharge and the cash discount conversation. It is really, really important because think about it from a perspective of an organic price increase. If I raise my price on my phone in my store from $800 to $832, guess what? That $32 is additional sales revenue. I charge and collect an additional possible. Both prices are displayed when the item is scanned, rung up, or whatever, right? And as you add more items, the system is keeping track of a cash total and an other total. I hit payment tender, it assesses the correct total, all the item prices based on that tender. When the receipt prints, it lists those prices, right? There's no line item on there. And then again, if software barcode generation is done like Retail Cloud, have the software be able to create barcodes with both prices on it. Man, immediately you can go into New York, and that's a big win. Some transaction examples on the receipts. On the left, you see 2 Miller Lights, cash price of $3. You see the subtotal, you see the tax, you see the total. Same transaction, credit card tender selected, it changes the line item price to $3.12. It changes the subtotal, it changes the tax. The entire transaction is accounted for correctly on the way that any state are going to need to have it done. Again, this makes business sense. When you get to the point of overcoming objections, you will see how this falls together because it's easy to explain. Hey, look, we could have raised all of our prices. Look, we're used to raising our prices. If rent goes up, utility goes up, cost of goods, we have to adjust our prices. It's what they normally do. Except this is an opportunity to actually give customers a chance to save money on the increase by paying cash. And again, this also stays completely out of the legal conversation of debit this or whatever else. Because it is a 2-price model, think about it. When was the last time you pulled up to the gas pump and you inserted a debit card in there and paid the cash price? You don't. You only pay the cash price if I'm pulling green money out of my pocket and handing it to them. Okay? This approach is applied to all forms of non-cash payment. It's either cash or it's not. I mean, heck, merchants can get check, fine, it's our non-cash price. Any other payment tender selected becomes a non-cash price. I'll kind of skip over that, kind of hit it just for the sake of time. Couple examples. Running Edge on Pay Anywhere. On the left, you see the merchant-facing screen where it has both prices. When the credit card is selected, it displays the credit price, making it very easy to see it happening. Real quick, why this is important. Think about the transactional examples that take place today. If somebody has a cash register and they have a terminal, even if it's like a smart terminal, I'm ringing up a sale and I'm going, okay, that's $100 plus tax, $107, let's say here in Indiana. I go and I type in $107 in a terminal, where the terminal is the one pulling that secondary price, and we have best practices I'll talk about here in a minute. And all of a sudden that transaction is $111.28. Hold on, I thought you just told me it's 107. Well, didn't you see my sign? All of a sudden you have a Z-tape and you have a credit card receipt, even though there's no line item on it, that don't match. It's not the best customer experience, and we want to build incredible customer experiences. That's why it's important, because when you run it on even something like that on Pay Anywhere, and it's a great opportunity to put Pay Anywhere in and replace that register. Because even on Pay Anywhere, you see the example on the receipts. You have the credit card example on the left, the same transaction. Some of them are services. That's why the tax didn't change. On the right, you end up with a true end-to-end paper trail of it being done properly. Overcoming objections. I do want to spend a little bit of time in this because, again, you're probably thinking, I'll look at some of the questions here real quick. Yeah, there's some coming in. I know I got some thumbs up and stuff. Cool. But so you're thinking, okay, Keith, all great and all, but what about the objections? I've heard I'll lose sales. This isn't legal. My customers won't be happy. And frankly, my favorite that I'm going to teach you how to overcome, why are you charging me / my customers more than what I'm paying now? Well, let me tell you. I will lose sales even in today's current situation is a matter of perception. And this is why I love business. Business comes down to numbers, right? It's not I will lose sales. The number has to be how much revenue do you have to bring in? How much sales do you have to bring in to make the amount of your savings in net profit? So for example, let's say a business will save $1,000 a month. They currently pay $1,000. They process $45,000 and you can save them $1,000, right? Now all of a sudden you have to have a conversation. Okay, Mr. and Ms. Merchant, what is your actual net profit margin? And please, if you're going to have this conversation, understand the difference between gross and net margins and operating expenses, et cetera, right? I'm talking net profit because Edge takes money, applies it directly to their bottom line in pure net profit. So that means if a business is running 15% net profit, which most are less than that, especially in convenience stores, high volume things, restaurants, right? 15% is being generous for the example. But if they're running a 15% net profit, that means they have to do a little over $6,600 in sales to make $1,000. That's the number that's the break even. Great, put Edge in. And let's say you go from $45,000 down to $44,000. Oh, I just lost $1,000 in sales. I don't give a crap. You still save $850 maybe, or whatever it is, right? Whatever that math equation is. Okay, I'll take a little loss in sales to save $800 or more. Like, that becomes the conversation, not I will lose sales. What about overcoming the customer pushback? My customers will be unhappy. Well, right now, and you've heard me say it in the COVID training, look, don't be afraid of this. If nothing else, this was the idea before, now all of a sudden it's going, hey, remember that conversation we had a month ago? Pretty sure your customers probably aren't going to be unhappy. I'm pretty sure they want to support you. Now is the time to change and have a storyline that says, look, we are trying to survive. We had to make some basic changes. This is one of them to help cut down on our expenses. We really appreciate your support. If you want to pay cash, guess what? You get to pay the other price. You can still save money, just pay cash, right? We'll take it. Use some Lysol wipes, but we'll take it. What about this isn't legal? You've heard me say it. I don't even want to have the legal conversation. I'll simply sit there and say, look, this is legal because your state, you can go to the gas station down the road and they've got 2 prices. So I know your state supports a 2-price model. But let's talk about what isn't legal, and you're setting the tone to differentiate yourself. Adding a fee to a transaction without being registered as surcharge. That's not legal. Running a surcharge program in a state that doesn't allow it. That's really not legal. And look at the restaurant in Kansas got hit with $60,000 in fines or something. Google it. Adding a fee of some sort to all transactions and then removing that fee when cash is used. Hey, you may have heard this before, called a cash discount program. That is not legal. Not following your state laws when it comes to communicating pricing on your goods and services. That is the most important piece. Make sure when you do this, you follow those rules. Now, why are you charging more for this program? First off, understand training, and I'll dive more into that. But yes, this program is priced higher than traditional processing program. Here's why. Number one, it had to be developed and continues to be supported, which has a cost. Number two, we utilize our flat rate pricing structure. And let me explain that. That means we assume all the risk. Whatever structure you're on now, Interchange Plus or tiered, means based on what card gets handed to you, we're making the same money. Your rates go up and down based on that card usage. As soon as we put you on flat rate, we assume all risk. And whenever you assume more risk, there has to be more upside, right? That's how you would operate your business. But the other thing about flat rate pricing, it includes all PCI expenses, monthly fees, anything extra whatsoever except chargebacks. And right here, MasterCard, Google it. The current edition back in December, I don't think they've updated. I haven't looked in a month or so. On page 107 is exactly what is here. A merchant must not directly or indirectly require a cardholder to pay a surcharge or any part of the merchant discount, the fees, or any finance charge in connection with the transaction, period. Okay? And then because people kept saying, oh, well, the discount, which is right there, merchant must provide a discount to customers, they can do that. Oh, the discount is the removal of the fee. Like, okay, all right, smart guys, fine. Let us further clarify this. For the purpose of this rule, by definition, a surcharge is any fee charged in connection with the transaction that is not charged if another payment is used. Guess what? Cash discounting, the way the industry does it, is surcharging under a different name. I know you can think I'm smoking it, whatever. This is what MasterCard has to say. Visa also says the same thing. If you'd employ a model that adds a fee and want to encourage you to create an incredible customer experience. The signs that we currently send out are super vague. They are meant to be vague. They are meant to use, here's a baseline, build on it. Follow those state guidelines. I encourage you, create signs yourself. Walk through the entire process. If it's an auto dealer or a mechanic shop and they have to do an estimate, it needs to be on the estimate. It needs to be on the wall of basic services, whatever the environment is, front to back. You don't want to have a customer experience where the customer has a surprise. That will